What should we do with this life?
Well, I think what I'm trying to express is that whether you're 6 or 62, you're the same person, Luke. You know, you're an adventurous individual, and you're also, you conform to what the society, you know, the dictates the society gives you. Like, I grew up in a time that I would say it was militaristic. It was just after World War II, hence the war games. And it was also extremely racist. We were killing, you know, the Indians. We used to play cowboys and Indians, and nobody wanted to be an Indian. You always wanted to be a cowboy. And, you know, and we had a very, you know, elitist view of the world. And I think what I'm suggesting is that, I mean, it's a little bit like the idiot box that we have today, you know, the cell phone. It gives you all the knowledge, but none of the wisdom. And so that was the point of this, just that we were having fun as kids, just like kids do today. Maybe I think young people today are more, they don't do as much physical activities we did. They're more associated with the activities on the cell phone, the games, whatever. And that's a bit of a danger, I think. But yeah, just that.
Why is it stated that freedom is not free? Is action necessary to achieve success?
Well, I think freedom is not free, Luke, is the point. And Frankl would, I think, agree with me. You got to work on freedom. If you want to be free, you have to thoughtfully probe, explore, find out who you are as a being in the world. In the world. And that requires a bit of bravery. Not a lot, but a bit, for sure. You have to step out. You know, a lot of people say that action is the solution to life, because when you act, you have consequences. And those consequences are not always good, but you can respond to them. The analogy, of course, is writing the test. If you're not prepared, you fail, and you don't write the test, you get 0. If you write the test, you get something. I used to have a professor who gave you 20% just for putting your name, right? You know, so what I'm showing here, Luke, what I'm attempting to show is that we're all people, whether we're 6 or 60 once again, and we're all dynamic, we're learning, if we want, right?
Are business and work natural human qualities? Should life be an adventure? Should it be dynamic?
Well, I want to say that busyness is an intrinsic human quality. And we had, my mother was building, as I said, my mother was building a small pond and a small brook, a small lake, a small stream, and it was quite cute actually, because we never quite got finished, I remember. And the thing that's most curious, Luke, is my parents had a large home, and my mother worked in this garden, and my father would go and collect seaweed, and my mother would new topsoil, and we were out there in my job was the rocks. I think I mentioned that. I used to have a sifter, and I would shake it, and the dirt would fall down, and the rocks would be thrown to a side. And so we worked this. It seemed to me for years, to be honest. But then my parents moved away from the village, and they sold this very large home. And somebody bought it and turned it into 5 apartments, 2-bedroom apartments. And they took a bulldozer and they eradicated all my mom's garden. They cut down the trees and they put concrete so people could park their cars. So all this work that we'd done for years was gone. And it just showed you how ephemeral everything is. Actually, I took my parents back to the village at one point, and we didn't even stop. The home looked so tragic in a sense. There was no life to it, you know. So, yeah. Hey, look, just, you know, you imagine the hours you spend. I'm thinking to myself, my God, I spent, 100 hours, and this means nothing. That's the point. Which ties into the previous, perhaps, chapter about ego a little bit. It's unimportant. Contribute to the now.
What aspect does work play in this?
Well, I think we are, once again, I think work is also a natural phenomenon when it comes to being a human being. We like work. We like activities. And I think if we don't like activities, there's something wrong. And I think the body, of course, responds to this, because if you don't have an activity, you obviously over time you gain weight. And we can see the amount of people that are heavier than they used to be, right? So if work is an intrinsic part of you, then you should enjoy it. and you should enjoy the net result. Pardon me. So when it comes to your career, ultimately your career should not be work in the sense of you're selling your time for money. It should be, it should be a part of flow in a sense. It should be dynamic and enjoyable. And let's take teaching. Look, I do a lot of teaching, as you know, and it takes an hour to teach an hour. And you know this yourself. You're a teacher, right? So, and if you, but you don't have to spend that hour. You could spend 5 minutes, and the only person who would suffer ultimately would be you, because you would be dishonest to your students, right? And they would know over time, but not right away. They wouldn't know. So this to me is work. It's an activity, and all of us are procrastinators, and I think all of us are a touch lazy. I certainly am. And I have these secrets or these tricks that I remind myself, get up, Leon, you've got things to do, you have an activity today that has to be written, that has to be produced, because I think there is a tendency to be lethargic. I force it out of myself, because I think the dynamism is where you learn and you'll grow, not in lying down and doing nothing, watching television, whatever.
As we age, what role does imagination play in human health? Should life be fun and pleasurable?
Look, I think that you do come to a certain point. Most thoughtful people, I've read and I've experienced personally, most thoughtful people come to a point that you're alive, and you're around 20. And also, the thoughtfulness realizes that in that thoughtfulness, you realize you're also going to die. Right? And how do you fill in the 20 years or 40 years or the 80 years between 20 and death? How do you do this? And I think if you see your life as a great adventure, I always kind of conceptualize that I'm in my own magical boat and I'm going to that island and I have to go through numerous storms and the sails get disheveled and there's a hole in the boat and it almost sank at one point, and I push on. And I finally land on the beach, and I'm on the beach of Treasure Island. And how can you be sad even if you're 85 or 90, you've arrived at the beach of Treasure Island? Wow, and that's the twinkle that I see in a lot of older people. They know that life has been blessed, their life has been blessed, and now they are going to die. But they're not saddened by this, Luke. It's just very quickly, Luke. Life, I think, is like a beautiful rose bush, if I could put it that way. You plant the seed, you give it water, little frond comes up, then there's a small plant, gains some leaves, it comes up eventually. It's a bush, and roses come out in the bush. Wonderful, beautiful fragrance. Over time, fall comes, the buds begin to wither, and they fall off, and slowly the tree, or the bush rather, begins to die. And it falls back into the soil, and then the soil eventually encapsulates it. I mean, that's life, right? And I think the twinkle in the eye period is when your rose bush is in full bloom and it's just starting to fade, and you realize that this is all a part of that beautiful life that I've been given. In the trillions of things that exist in the universe, Luke, somehow I was given life. Me. We all know this. Me. If we're thoughtful, we know this. I was given life. Not you, not the cockroach, not my dog, not a horse, me, right? And with this gift of life, wherever I got it, I have it. Now let's do something with it, because it is dynamic. It is. I mean, everything is there intellectually if you want, right? Very few people are brilliant, Luke, and very few people are stupid. We sit in a band, right? And in that band we can, all of us have done things and observed things that we thought were impossible, but we do them. I speak Polish. Why Polish? Just circumstance.